case tonight?
Okay, great.
Thank you.
It being,
5:30.
5:30 on February 4th, I'd like to open the master plan, update meeting.
All right, so we have
Perfect.
NCC and,
Do you guys have other business before us, or are we good
Just the
to?
minutes, right?
we can do the minutes. Do you wanna do that now or after?
We can do that after.
After? Okay. So we have Michelle, Liz, and Taylor on, teleconference. Hi, guys.
How's it going? Good evening.
Good, good.
Who do we, I guess just for purposes so we can, put voices together, can we just do a round of names in the room? That would be helpful for us. I don't think we did that last time, and kinda a little piece of the missing puzzle there.
Makes sense.
Sure. Wanna start us off?
Pastor Jerd, the Madison Church.
Evelyn Welton, Madison resident.
Paul Marks, planning board.
Tia Gagnon, Planning Board.
Mark Graffam, one of the three commissioners of Idleways.
Mark Olson, planning board chair.
Heather Woodard, principal at the Madison School.
That's all of us tonight.
All right, well, great. No, that's very helpful. It kinda gives us a voice to the name, and put some pieces in place for us. Did you all get a copy of, I guess, first of all, can you guys see the screen that I'm sharing? I'm having a little bit, my video keeps flicking off once in a while, but I think my screen share stays
You are.
steady. Are you guys seeing the screen share?
Yes.
Take that as a yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And you all received a copy of the master plan, the technical structure
Yeah.
survey.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that you got a chance to take a quick peek at that, and we're gonna start to go over that this evening along with some other things. And so tonight we're going to review the master plan structure survey. We're gonna talk about the next steps for the town conducted master plan survey. We're gonna review some draft stakeholder questions, and we'll provide a quick update on the community forum. And so, as you recall, we did a master plan structure survey. The goal of the structure survey was very focused. We were not asking folks to respond in regard to the content of the plan yet, but instead we were really looking at how is the plan organized and used. We wanted to better understand how often the master plan was used, how easy or difficult it is to navigate, which data folks felt is still relevant or is still important to have within the chapter elements and should be updated. We talked about which chapters should be updated, combined, carried forward, or expanded, or removed completely. And some of those questions where we asked how often it was used and how, was it considered to be challenging to navigate? And this kind of all led to that analysis of what you have in front of you as far as what the structure and how folks felt about that. Let's see, so overall the feedback was encouraging. Most folks that responded felt the plan had a strong usable foundation, that it was, you really felt that it should be updated and refined, but not reinvented. Respondents valued the work that was already been done and really wanted to see that carried forward in a more modern or streamlined format. And there was a call for better accessibility and usability, making the plan easier to navigate and easier to use for decision making. So things like clearer maps, maybe clearer graphics, but then also links to information and maybe a more readable document, so to speak. And so the respondents of the survey, and keep in mind this just was circulated through the group of municipal staff, this update team, planning board, of course anybody could have responded to it if they wanted to. So it wasn't surprising really, we had 8 responses I think. And it's not surprising that many of you hold many hats, right? You're not just one position within the town or volunteer community member, you hold multiple positions. So you can see this is a graph about who you are. Most of you are from the update committee, residents, town officials, planning board members. We didn't have any business owners, which is understandable considering that it was circulated through a small group of folks. One of the things that we kind of noticed is that when we asked the question about how often the plan's used, right? So this is kind of a guiding document of the municipality. It's got your goals, your visions, what you want your community to look like in the future. And the answers of occasionally or rarely is, well, not surprising. Hopefully after we do this update and we ask these questions again in another 5 or 10 years, hopefully those responses will be frequently and often, right? So you really should be using your master plan to put behind the actions and the goals of what you want for your community. We do a lot of project development within the council, and I always go to communities when they first say, we have an idea and we want to turn it into a project that we can implement. The first thing I ask them is, how does it align with your master plan? How does it align with your goals of your community that you agreed upon, and can we back it by that? So, in the next 5 years when we ask these same questions, hopefully, or 10 years, hopefully that will be flipped and it will be frequently or more often. We've done this survey with other towns, and this is on par with what we hear in other communities. So it's definitely not a surprise. We just want to flip that piece of the puzzle. All right. So what we heard is a few things that just kind of called out as far as like what we heard as far as carrying things forward. We heard a little bit about, and this was kind of in the data section, that some of the predictions are, like population predictions are a little bit too difficult to predict, and due to kind of the changing world that we live in, they're out of date really quick. I still wouldn't recommend taking that data out of there. I think it's important. The Office of Planning and Development, they do those projections, so we can easily use those. some of the data like county level for sales of homes. The current master plan had it at county level, maybe bringing that down more to community level, looking at short-term rentals. And then there was a comment overall about short-term rentals are a concern and need to be addressed within the community. So those are kind of some of the overarching pieces that we heard when we kind of asked for other feedback. And so when we took a look at, we asked questions about, for the chapters and the elements, we asked, is it something you want to keep and update? Is it something you want to combine? Do you want to remove that chapter? Is there another comment about it, or are you unsure? And so for the most part, what we said was, we looked at everything that rated a 75% or higher. And the only chapter or element that kind of was questionable was the general statement element. And in that general statement element, it integrated it integrated the vision. And so that is one chapter that we would recommend maybe taking some pieces of that and putting in other places, whether that's in acknowledgements or an introduction, and then taking the vision and leaving that, pulling that out as kind of a standalone element. So it's right there, it's up front. But that was really the only one that when we looked at the ratings, it was kind of a big number on combined with another chapter is how that kind of came out, broke out. The other recommendations for the structure and format that, as we were looking at your current master plan, we would recommend that you consider adding an implementation chapter, one that clearly identifies goals and strategies for achieving them. And then I want you to keep in mind that these chapter titles are really high level. This isn't about how you're going to go in and structure the chapter, meaning it's not the details of the chapter, and it's not even, are we going to pull the goals out in each chapter, or are we going to put them into an upfront executive summary? That will come later. This is just, here's the structure, so to speak, of your master plan. Here's what we heard, and here's what we recommend for additions. And so what we did was, with the current master plan, we pulled out every data point we found, essentially, and we asked the same questions in the sense of, is this still relevant data? Should we carry it forward into the new master plan and update it? Should it be removed? Should it be combined with other data, or is there something missing? And out of all the data points that we looked at, we considered anything that was rated like 75% or higher responded, carry forward and update, as we're just going to carry that forward, we're going to update it, we'll bring it forward into the new master plan or the updated master plan. However, the only one that, and you can see here with 63%, the only data point that folks were kind of like, this isn't necessarily relevant, is the private and public bus routes. And mostly because there's minimal or no public transportation routes serving the community. And then, you probably aren't going to get really solid data on private bus routes. So I think that we can pull that data point out of there and talk more about commuting patterns, and probably have some overall transportation maps. But we can also point to transportation service providers or links to other resources that provide that information. It is always more, basically up to date, versus putting a link in here or putting a data point in here that, within 6 months, 12 months, especially when it comes to public transportation, is probably going to be out of date. So we can still fill that gap a little bit with linking it to another resource. Overall, we're going to ensure that the data that we're pulling forward is current and it's relevant for you folks to make decisions on your goals and actions, and to support, potentially funding asks or large projects that you might have coming down the road. In addition to that, we have some recommendations on adding some data points. And those data points, I think I'm not remembering exactly, but it was data points around short-term rentals. It was data points around housing in the respect of trying to possibly bring it more to a community level if we can actually get to that level. And we had some focused around average daily traffic, right? So New Hampshire DOT does ADT traffic counts on a 3-year rotation. We have those counts going back for years, and so we felt that that would be a good way to display some of the traffic patterns in and around your community and take a look at that. We also did the same thing when it came to the maps, and for the majority of the maps, the comments were is we really want to update them and carry them forward. There was a comment about considering combining the historic maps with photos. So there could be an opportunity to kind of retool that, the historic portion of the master plan, you know, carry it forward, update it in the sense of maybe it goes in a place where it's more of a background oriented, or, you know, I don't think we would put it in appendices, but definitely combine it with photos and make sure that we continue to carry that piece of it into the update, because it is important. And I think the only other thing in the respective maps is the consideration of recreation or trails, outdoor recreation trails, a map to that extent. If you have those, you know, we could combine that with a community forest map or public lands, something to that effect. You know, as long as the data is available, then we can pull that forward like a recreation map. Let's see, whoops. And I think that's all we really have for the structure survey. Like I said, there was, you know, there was no significant surprises in what we heard. And you know, you have a really good foundation already to carry forward. It's just a matter of updating the data, adding a few pieces to it, and then really, I guess, making it a little bit more user friendly. And so I'll open that up for questions and thoughts.
If you guys don't have any questions for us on this end, I do have a question. If you guys have a historic district commission or not, or a heritage commission and a historic district a zone?
We do not. We have a historical society, but
Okay.
we don't have a district where you need to keep all of the buildings like a certain way or
Okay.
historic in that sense.
Perfect.
You do have a Heritage Commission of 3 members, all vacant.
Oh, we do?
Yep.
But nobody's on it. Okay.
Has there ever been anybody on it?
It doesn't,
No, I just don't
Doesn't
know
say.
historically anybody been.
probably not since Ray Steniford died.
Yeah, Ray or Richard. Richard Hawking used to try to make Conservation Commission part of that historic.
But we don't have a district in town.
But we don't have
like a
per
lot
se.
of old New England towns do.
Right.
We're just not that old. In
Yep.
no, in comparison. Especially from around here, we're an offshoot of Eaton.
Other questions or thoughts about any surprises in how folks responded to the current structure?
Not really.
Not really. I like how it was brought up that we'd like it more centralized on Madison rather than all of Carroll County, some of the data points. I think it's easier to find the Carroll County wide housing data and all of that, but if we can narrow it down and really get a sense of what's going on here, I think that would be ideal.
Yeah, and I think we can. I mean, we've done for other towns, you know, town level housing data. So I think we can do some of that. You know, once we start digging into the data, we'll know exactly what we can pull and what we can't pull. But I don't see anything, any reason why we can't pull housing data at the town level. I know, Taylor, you just did one for another small town. We were able to pull housing data at the town level, right? I think. Yeah, so, and then
we can pull it at kind of any level, so we can pull it at the town level, the county level, and then the state level if we want.
So as we go through and start pulling data, and doing the snapshots, you know, if we run into any hiccups in the data that we're pulling, where it's either just not there or it's not gonna make sense in what it's saying, you know, if there's just not, you know, if the margin of error is too large or something to that, then we can call that to your attention and then make a decision on what we do at that point. Yeah.
Also, we can utilize the MS1 from the assessors, if that's available. Usually that has the most recent housing data, and that also gives us just the specifics like current use, valuations, and things like that, specifically for just Madison.
Sure. Did I give you the link to the annual town report?
It's on the website.
It's on the website. I'll send that back over so
I
you
think
can.
we've seen it on the website, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, you put the MS1 data in there, right, Michael?
The MS1 is in here.
MS1. Okay. So we have that. And I think we have the
Alright.
information
Go ahead.
from the
Sorry.
Conservation Commission on the different trails that the different parcels that they manage and the different trails within those parcels.
There is a map that exists, but I'm not sure. It probably takes some work because it's not really digital. So I don't know how they could
What-
incorporate.
Oh.
What organization is that?
The Conservation Commission, most of the parcels managed by it have trails on them that are pretty well marked, and there is a map that exists, but I don't think it's a terrible, it's not a high-tech map for sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we would pull our data from Granite, most likely, which if it's in there, then it's, you know, kind of publicly available, so to speak. I would hesitate about pulling trail data that might belong to clubs or organizations that are either nonprofit or private entities, especially if it goes over private property and it's not already electronic published. You get a little bit, you know, some of the clubs, like snowmobile clubs, ATV clubs and organizations, they keep a lot of their maps in the paper form or kind of electronic, but through membership. And part of the reason why is because some of that is still membership driven, and that's how they pay for things. So some organizations are pretty sensitive to where that information goes, but we can, when we get ready to do mapping, we can look and see what's available, like on a recreation level, and, you know, at least maybe have some of that information. It might not cover, you know, all types of trails in the community, that, especially some that might be on private property, with access, but we can see what it comes up with, and then we can make a determination. Is it, you know, is it worth creating a map to add to this, or is it, you know, is there just not enough of that out there?
There is a map on the website, and it has Wold property, Madison, Boulder, Hathaway Trail System, Madison Cascades, work parcel, so it has,
That's the one we're
maybe a
talking
dozen or
about.
so hiking trails. That's digital. So I just sent that in our group chat so that we can take a look at it and see if that's something that we just can't plug right into it when we do it.
Great.
And some of that too, instead of, we can always, in some of those chapters, we can talk about that space and connect the link to it. So if we're linking back into a website, it's not going to be your responsibility as the town to continuously maintain that link as far as being the latest and greatest information or making sure the map is the latest and greatest. You're linking it into another organization, and that's kind of that's their role, is making sure that their maps are up to date. Doesn't always work that way, but it kind of takes the pressure off of you folks of having stale maps in a recreation sense, or stale links in that sense.
Great. Yeah, I mean, if we can start it or work off of the old one and update that, and then we can give it over to conservation to maintain, that would be great.
Right? If we don't have anything else on the structure survey, I'd like to move on to the master plan community survey that the town is conducted. So kind of, we just need to think about next steps for that. That survey is still currently open. I think it opened in May or June of 2025. Tia, correct me if I'm wrong, please.
September.
Is that right? Or is it shorter?
September is when we opened.
I
I thought we opened it on September 1st.
No, it was available during Old Home Week.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
had it during Old Home Week, so,
I think that's right, what she's got May or June.
May?
yeah.
I just pulled,
I'm wrong.
I just looked at the first few response dates. That's where I pulled that from, so
Oh, whoops.
it's
I
been
think
out
you
there
had
for a
us do it
while.
early.
As
Oh,
of the end
okay.
of last month.
Oh, yeah.
There was 130 responses, which I think is about 6%. We'd like to see that a little bit higher if we can. We're gonna recommend that you folks do one more push, 3-week push, or kind of last call for the survey and close it at the end of the month. It's not gonna affect our time frame at all to do our analysis of that survey. Because in our timing, we have, I think, February, March, and April that we're gonna take a look at that. So we still have time to look at it. I would strongly recommend doing kind of a last call to see if we can get a few more folks to respond to that. But that's really up to you all if you wanna do that or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think the more information we can get, the more feedback, the better. So you're saying a 3-week push?
Yeah, I would do it with a, closing of the end of the month. And we can take a look at it, right? We can look and see what that does, and if it's just crickets, we can kind of reevaluate and say, okay, we're done, we're gonna close it, or we can come up with a game plan to maybe keep it open a little bit longer. It just pushes our analysis off probably by a month, which is, it's okay. And then time the closing to be maybe right after the community forum. But I would say let's do a good solid push through the end of this month and see if we pick up any additional responses, and then we can kind of make that determination. And if we need to pivot, we can pivot at that point.
Okay, sounds good.
Town meeting is 2 weeks after that date. I don't know if it would be
Oh, yeah.
a good opportunity to at least let people know about it. 'Cause, I don't know, we usually get a decent turnout
Yeah.
for town meeting. But that does push it out a few more weeks for you.
And I think that's fine. I'll leave that up to you folks, to determine when you wanna if you wanna let it go a little bit past town meeting, I think that's fine. It pushes our analysis off a little bit, into April, May, maybe June, but it's still gonna happen. We're still on track. So it's not, it's not gonna hurt the project or put it super far behind.
Yeah.
Especially if you're able to pick up a handful more, 10, 20, 30 more responses.
Yeah, I think we should go for it. I like that idea, Asia. What do you guys think? Keep it open until after town meeting? And
maybe a week after town meeting,
yeah.
giving people time to go home and.
Close
Seems
it
we're
on
asking them for money.
Sunday the 15th, just close it the day after. No, it doesn't take that long. You tell people at town meeting if they wanna do it, this thing closes tomorrow night.
Go do it.
Yeah, true, cause if you give them a week, they might just forget about it.
Right.
And not do it.
Yeah.
And hell, they could do it while they're sitting there,
That's true.
because there's gonna be plenty of worthless discussion about
Right, if you have
the
the,
minutia.
if you have the QR code right there, they can, when they get bored.
Okay. I like it. All right, so that's March 14th, right? 15th.
Well, the 14th is town
That's the
meeting, but
meeting.
yeah,
Okay.
that would be the day after.
Beware the Ides of March.
Okay.
All right, so after that, Tia, I think you'll have to close it. I don't know if we have privilege to close it, but then when it's officially closed, then we'll pull the data from it and start looking at it.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. So part of the engagement is stakeholder questions, and so tonight we drafted a few questions. It wasn't in our task to draft the questions, but we've done a few of these before, so we drafted a few questions for you guys to take a look at. You all folks are gonna do the identify individuals to conduct the interviews, and I know Tia, you kind of sent an email around saying this is our task at hand to the team. North Country Council will review the process with you, with the folks that have been identified to conduct the interviews. We can do that kind of as a separate meeting, and the process, just what we're gonna put it in for a platform, how we're collecting all this information, the update team, so you folks are going to conduct the interviews. We're gonna enter what's collected into a collection platform, so either Google Forms. Google Forms seems to be working with us sharing, you sharing a Google form with us, we can still pull the data out of it. It's probably the best way to do it. It seems like you guys are all familiar with using it, and you all probably have access to it, so we can do it that way. And once those interviews, the responses from the interviews are entered into that platform, NCC will summarize what is heard. And so the task really here is to conduct 15 interviews or small stakeholder meetings. So, somehow a total of, 15 interviews, whether that's one-on-one interviews or small groups like 3, 4, 5 people, some combination of both. You might meet with a local business group and that would be one interview, or you might you meet with one individual that has a lot to say and they want to be interviewed by themselves, and that's fine too. And I would say, if you have 2 ambitious folks to do these interviews, that's great, but definitely you can spread this work out amongst all of you, as long as we're asking the same questions and in the same format, and then entering that information into the same platform, we will be fine. And so the questions that we drafted are here, and we spent a little bit of time thinking about this, and we really felt that everyone everyone who's interviewed should be asked at least the same 3 questions. And here are the questions that we came up with. So what makes Madison feel like Madison to you? And what would you be most concerned about losing if the town changed too quickly? Looking ahead 10 to 15 years, what do you see as the most important problems or challenges the town needs to address? And do you feel Madison is missing anything that would improve daily life or community well-being? For example, housing options, community events, road maintenance, emergency response, or small-scale local services. And so again, these are just draft questions to kind of start moving this process forward of getting ready to do some interviews. You can change these, you can get rid of them and say, no, NCC, we've thought about this and we've put a lot of thought on it, we want these questions instead. But I just wanted to make sure that we had a starting point if we hadn't already had some questions put together. And before, we'll go back to these questions in a minute, the universal ones, but then I want to just talk a little bit about the additional questions. And so the folks that you interview will probably identify themselves as either resident, commercial business, or a municipal employee. They might be all 3. A lot of times that is the case. And so dropping down, you'll ask these 3, maybe 4 universal questions, and then drop down into 2 additional questions according to kind of how they identified themselves. You might have somebody that says, I'm all of these and I want to answer all the questions. And that's okay. You can do that. It's just going to take longer, but there's probably a lot there to hear. And so you want to capture that. And these again are just draft questions to kind of start this process. You can change them, you can take them, you can leave them. It's totally your choice and up to you how you do that. I think the task at hand for this group now is to really decide, are these the questions that you want to use? If not, what questions do you want to use? How do you want to change them? But I would still recommend that you have 3 or 4 universal questions, and then you have probably 2, you could have 3 under each of the other categories. I would stick to that format, and then we'll get these into a platform that you can then put the responses into, either during the interview process or after, whatever folks are comfortable with as you're interviewing. And I'll open that up for discussion and thoughts.
Do you give those questions out beforehand? When you're
sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, when you're conducting the interviews, do you provide the questions beforehand?
We have not.
Okay.
We've used it as, you could if you wanted to. I have not in the past and kept it as really a casual conversation. In some cases, we actually get to all of the questions that we have on our interview sheet, so to speak. And sometimes you have somebody who's kind of fixated around one question, and that takes a while. And that's as far as you get. So I would say it's up to you folks how you want to do that. I always find that you might not necessarily get the most candid response if you provide those questions ahead of time. I think being able to ask the question in person or via virtual or the telephone, you then can ask clarifying questions. It might lead you down a little bit of a different road and have a different perspective that maybe you haven't seen or thought of, versus here's the questions up front. People might come a little bit more prepared, which I'm not sure you necessarily want in this situation.
Okay, thank you.
There's been a couple of times that commercial entities were like, can you just email me the questions and I'll get back to you, and then I'll follow up with them, and then our conversations go 45 minutes to an hour sometimes, because they've had time to think about every little thing that they want to put into their answers. So just a heads up, it can extend the time significantly sometimes. So that's just something to think about too.
Okay, thank you.
The one thing we didn't do is we did not send you these questions ahead of time, but I will send them after the meeting so that you have them in, you know, can take a look at them and kind of determine what might be next for you.
Okay, yeah, that would be good.
And I guess, Tia, here's a question for you, is once you determine the questions, do you have the ability to create, I'm assuming a Google form that then would just be kind of like your Madison survey link, where those who have volunteered to conduct the interviews, either during the interview or after, can enter the information into that? I think you just have to determine how the information gets into the platform. I think, again, Google Forms has worked well, and we can pull it from there. So we just want to make sure that we're all on the same page with that piece of it.
Does the Google
Yeah.
form have a limit of how much like you could put into one answer? That would be my only concern. Like, I feel like there's like a character limit as far as if you ask a question, people are talking a lot and you want to capture that. I don't know.
I'll
So I would just have to look, you would want to look into that.
Yeah, I'll check that out. I think because you can pick like long form answers. I think the character limit's on the short form, but I'll double check and see that. That's a good point.
Okay, and let me know if we run up against a character limit. Just let us know, and we can look at some of our survey tools and see if that same character limit exists.
Okay.
So if we don't have any other questions about the interviews, once you folks pick who's going to be interviewing, let's get back together. We'll formalize kind of in a separate meeting the process. You know, those who are interviewing, if they have questions about, you know, what do we do if, or anything to that extent, or how should we do these, we can answer that with that group, kind of a subgroup just alone. Because it'll be more about the process of interviewing and things, questions that might come up for those folks that are going to do these interviews. But once you kind of finalize those questions, we can then move forward and determine when we get together to talk about the process.
Okay, thanks. Does anybody
Update
wanna-
Community Forum, and so flyers have been distributed. I think I looked yesterday, we had one RSVP, which, don't panic. If you remember, we said RSVP is appreciated, so we can just have a food count, but not necessary. So this is not unusual that we're just seeing one person RSVP, but we want to continue to push that information into the community, check our flyers, make sure that they are still up and whole, they haven't succumbed to this winter weather, and if you hand them out at the transfer station, that's a great place to be at. We are going to take a look at the site next week, so we will have an idea of what that space looks like. Taylor's coming down. What day? Monday, Taylor?
Yep, Monday at noon.
And,
Also, I've had communities hand them out at the post office too. We catch a lot of people there too.
Okay.
Where are they right now?
They are in the post offices here, and the library, community market, and Idolize.
At school, I thought I saw one.
Oh, there's
like,
probably one at
down by like the gym
school.
doors.
Yep,
I think
and then
there's
there's
one
one
there,
at the transfer station. And
Thank
most
you.
of them are still up.
Great.
I haven't gone to the dump, but
Great.
Is the church newsletter, like a
So-
daily newsletter or anything like that?
Does somebody have something else? Sorry.
So the school sent it through our newsletter. I was wondering if the church had a newsletter and could send it through, you know, their
Yeah,
forum
good.
too.
Yep.
Just as another opportunity
Oh, that would
to
be
get
great.
it out there.
thank you.
Yeah,
Yep. Oh yeah,
you
because
could-
you sent it out, and the library sent it out.
Yeah, if
We
you
have it on
can get,
Facebook.
if you can get it to me,
Sure.
I'll,
Yeah.
I'll have it
Alright.
put in.
And then, oh, there's one at the food pantry.
Mhm.
I-
Oh, okay,
Joe hung that up for me.
good.
And if you get it to me, I can ask Sarah to send it out
Oh, okay.
to the housing coalition.
Alright. Thank you.
So, we've started to kind of frame out what the event, kind of the activities of the day are gonna look like. And so, obviously we'll check people in and, hopefully you're still working on arranging for some food and light snacks. Folks can grab something to eat, have a seat. And then, you know, we'll welcome the group as a whole. And, we will have, you know, small group activities that report out into the larger group. And so we'll do a warm-up activity just kind of as an icebreaker, asking folks, you know, what do they love and value about the community? Our first, you know, larger group activity will be, what would you like to see change? So once again, this is kind of at that small group level, so that people are comfortable talking and chatting, and then report out to the larger group and have a little discussion around it. Activity 2 is, what does a thriving Madison look like in 10 to 20 years? Identifying some common threads through what we hear, and then in closing, kind of what's the next steps, how to stay engaged, and what do we actually do with this? Even though this does not seem like a lot for that time frame, it will actually take up the entire space, surprisingly, the time frame. It's, folks have a really good opportunity to chat amongst each other at their groups, and then report out, and then some discussion happens at that level. And so again, just to kind of visual how that looks, because I know a lot of folks have, you know, when they think of a community forum, a lot of times they think about, oh, I'm going to come here and be presented to or spoken to, and that's not the case. So we'll keep our small table groups, depending on what the setup looks like, you know, it depends on how many people fit at a table. Ideally, I like to have no more than, you know, 5, but we could go as big as 10 per table, that's fine. Each table will have all of the information that they need. And, you know, as an entire group, they'll be given kind of directions each step of the way as we go through each activity. The small groups will share out to the larger groups, and we'll start to see hopefully some common threads and observations as we go through the event, the forum. Other questions, thoughts about any of this?
Sounds good.
It's kind of fun. We just did one. It's kind of interesting. We've done 2 of these. We've done more than this, but recently we've done 2 of these. And we actually, for you folks, planning board members and folks on the master plan update team, we'll have an idea of, we're gonna ask for a call to action, like who's gonna be there. We separate you folks so that you're at different tables, so that we don't have any kind of group thought. And then as people come in, you know, it's you know, we assign tables accordingly, whatever method we choose. And it's kind of funny, we did one earlier, or last winter, or spring, I can't remember anymore now, but folks were great. Like they're like, okay, I got table 2, and you know, a spouse or a partner got table 3, and it was all wonderful. Or the neighbor got table 3 and 5, and we just did another community that it was quite the challenge of splitting them up. It was interesting to watch the dynamics. So I'm excited to see how your community embraces a community forum like this. It'll be fun to watch and participate in, and kind of work with all these folks.
Yeah.
It's exciting, but yeah.
We just had one for Chain of Ponds. The Upper Saco Valley Land Trust held one at Tin Mountain, so it's a nice like open venue, but they had something similar set up with the smaller tables, and there was a pretty big group. And you're right, it took the entire amount of time just to get through a couple of questions, but the result was pretty amazing.
And it gives, using this format gives folks who might not normally speak up in some type of public presentation or large group setting, it gives them really an opportunity to participate at a level that they might be comfortable at. And then their voice is heard because it's carried out to the larger group, usually by somebody who is willing to stand up in front of folks and kind of report out what was heard in their small group. So it's a great way to engage folks in all different levels, which kind of adds to the whole engagement process of the update of your master plan, right? We're giving folks an opportunity to engage through a community survey. You're giving folks an opportunity to engage with one-on-one conversations. And then you're giving folks an opportunity to engage in a larger setting, but still within folks' comfort zone as far as speaking up and kind of leveling the playing field on loud voices. Other questions about this? We'll have, there's no necessarily agenda that gets posted. It's the community forum. When it comes right to it, we will have a list of like how the day is the activity or the event is gonna flow, but there's no official like agenda or anything to that effect. I know we've been asked that question in other community forums that we've done, but we just talk about the flow of the day, so to speak, and don't go too deep into the details.
Okay.
And that's really all we have this evening, unless I've missed something from my team.
No, I think you covered everything. The only question I wanted to ask was also about the school map. In the structure survey, it was said to carry that forward, and I just wanted to touch base on if we wanted to have that out there more than needed. But if you guys really want to keep it in there, then we can absolutely keep it in there.
I feel like that's a question for you. There is a map of the school in there. I just are you saying like a detailed floor plan
of the school? And I wasn't sure if you wanted the master plan as an avenue for that plan. Just
is that
putting
for
it out there in more
safety?
places.
Or is that because of safety?
That's my concern. I would never want it to be an avenue.
I would make the recommendation to pull that map forward.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I think that map is definitely something that sits with your emergency services, right? So it's probably something that's been discussed in your hazard mitigation plan, and it's probably not in that plan, but then probably in your LEOP plan, which is kind of kept under wrap and cover.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. Perfect. And a deadline for having the interview subcommittee. Did you have a date for them to come up with members for that, or no? Not yet?
No, I would say you guys, definitely do it sooner than later. I would think if you can walk away from this meeting with your questions identified, or even, and the folks that are going to conduct those interviews, that would be great. I know Tia, you had already kind of set the foundation for that conversation. It sounded like it was going to happen at some point tonight, so hopefully you can walk away with that tonight. If not, definitely at the next meeting, it would be good.
I think we'll definitely have the people who would like to do the interviews, but not the stakeholders or the questions.
And that's fine. You had a pretty good list of stakeholders started to be identified, and that's something you guys can you can continuously identify stakeholders as you go through that interview process. I think that's okay.
Okay. And then we were talking about April for the few days, and that's on my list for tonight, is just to figure out when we want to do that. If we want to do the 3 days with the 30-minute time slots, like you would suggest, made that
Yeah.
suggestion.
Yep, that's one way to do it. If you start to find that it's a challenge to do it that way, you can kind of just open it up. But that narrows it down a little bit, and there's like that, not that back and forth of, you know, I'm available on this day or you available on this day, and it gets a little bit dragged on.
Okay. Yeah, so we can figure that out. And then we would also like to figure out volunteers for the setup for the community forum, and for food prep and all of that to help.
So that's our discussion after they hang out.
Yeah,
Gotcha. Okay.
that's our stuff afterward.
Perfect. Do you guys have any more questions? Any other questions?
No, I guess once we have that email from you, we can do the drill down questions from there and determine if we like the high level.
I am gonna send that right now. Do you guys have access to an email that I can send it to, that you can have them tonight?
Yeah, I can send it out. If you send it to me, I can forward it.
Okay, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna send it right now. I guess if there's nothing else, we'll
Thank
be
you very
in
much.
touch.
Yeah, thank you.
Taylor was seeing some of you folks Monday, dropping some RSA books off to the town.
Indeed.
Oh, okay.
Thank you very much.
Great. Good to see
Thank
everybody.
you guys.
Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good night.
You too.
Lawsuit is going to the Supreme Court. They said it last night at the selectmen.
Tia, I can help with setup and breakdown on community meeting day.
Okay, great. Thank you. I'll be there as well.
We're all set with food, PTO will cover all that, so.
PTO is gonna do it?
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks.
Wow.
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
So we have that covered.
Nice. Thank you. And Heather, are you meeting with Taylor?
Yes.
Okay. All right, awesome. I know I kind of.
It'll be right at lunchtime, so should.
Yeah, I'll tell my girls to be extra good. That's brave.
Yeah. People to see what the noise level's like and, you know.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Maybe we could provide some input as to how they wanted it set up. Like Tia from last time?
Yes, and they're going to go over that with Heather and figure out where they can put the tables and everything. I think that's what they're gonna do when they go for their visit.
At the visit.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Okay. Does anybody else want to come a little bit before or stay after just to get rid of the tables and all of that, or?
I can. I was thinking maybe we could film it, but now that I see the setup of it, it wouldn't make sense to have, because there'll be, you know, multiple discussions going at once, so.
Might be a little
Instead-
hectic.
That's a
Being-
great point, yep.
Instead of
Won't
being
be
there
able
as a
to have a
TV
microphone.
person, I can be there as a volunteer.
Okay, yeah. All right.
Zoom meeting in a nursery school.
Yeah, I thought it was more of a presentation until they described it tonight, so.
All right. I think that's it for.
What time do you wanna get into the building to start setting up?
Let's see. So it starts at 11. So. What do you think? Like 10, or maybe I could ask
Excuse me.
Taylor how long it usually
Okay.
takes, but I'd probably give us an
It
hour.
takes us more than an hour to set up. there's something wrong with us.
I mean, setup would be what, tables and
Tables and
chairs?
chairs.
That can't take that long, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, probably
If
10.
PTO is doing food, I would imagine they would
Set that up? Okay. Alright. Is anyone interested in holding the interviews? Being a spokesperson?
I can certainly help.
I'll
You're
do it.
talking,
Michael? Evelyn?
you're talking about the 30-minute interviews.
Yeah, it was like interrogation.
I just wanted to
I'm
make
signing
sure
up with
I was
you.
understanding what was happening.
Give them a bright light.
Right
Yeah,
up,
you're like-
right up my alley. I got a heat lamp and everything.
Might be nice. It's cold out.
Yeah, I definitely would like to help with that.
Okay. Thank you. And so they'll set up an extra meeting on what that will look like, and then we can probably get the chick rum for that, so it's a little bit more comfortable and not in here. Unless anybody else has a better idea.
So they were saying it's gonna happen over a 1 day period or a 3 day period?
I think 3 days.
3 days.
But
I have to tell you, we did something like this at the Economic Council,
Yeah.
and we tried to do everybody come to us. That did not work.
it,
So we ended up splitting up, and we each took 3 businesses, called those businesses, set up the appointments at their leisure, but within a prescribed time frame.
okay.
And it worked great, and the business owners were thrilled and gave us tons of time to
Okay.
share information. So my experience is people are gonna be like, no, you come to me if you wanna hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if we could split it up, like, you know, like they had it split up, like residents could maybe come to the library.
Right, yeah, there may be different
And then maybe we could,
segments.
you know, go to the businesses and then.
We should describe
Yeah.
the stakeholders and then
Yeah.
figure it out from there, without having a list of stakeholders and who we're targeting, I'm not sure.
You
Yeah.
could do any after-school hours or weekends, you could use building for sure. So I just don't know what that time frame looks like, but could make space available there too.
Okay. So we want to take a look at their questions that they're going to send. And then can I give you Michelle's email so that you guys can coordinate that that you can get the questions and.
Well, yeah, we've gotta come up as a group, we've gotta come up with a couple of sub-questions for each of those categories if we vote to use those questions, which we haven't done yet.
Right. So I think we have to do that at our next
Right.
meeting anyway, so. Alright, so
We
we'll
can
put
start
that on our
coming up with
next.
sub-questions unless people here are already thinking, I don't like that question, I want a different one. Let's start putting that on paper now.
Yeah, I thought the first like high level ones were good, but I didn't get to read through the
others.
the subcommittee ones.
If we can get it nailed down at this meeting, you may be able to grab a whole bunch of people right after town meeting. Get them to stay for an extra 15 minutes or something and just, you could knock a bunch of them out.
That's a really good idea, Mike.
So get it ready for our next meeting
Well,
to
we'll be
vote on all
meeting
that.
to discuss the, like, this week of
Before
next month, which would be the 4th, and then town meeting is 10 days from there.
Okay, so we can get the questions and the stakeholders. I started a stakeholder list, but I think if we come up with, if you think of your friends and family or.
Will you
different
email
businesses.
us
Yeah,
that
do we have,
stakeholder
I was just
list?
gonna say, do we have that
I
stakeholder list?
don't know.
Okay.
I don't know if I
It
sent
doesn't
that
ring a
out.
bell, but I could have looked.
I probably haven't sent it, but I'll send that. Yeah, and then we can also decide, do we want to just do the 15 small interviews or one-on-one interviews or the smaller group, I guess depending on how many people we can get
If
in
there's a
touch with.
couple of us willing to do that after town meeting, that is a brilliant idea, because people are already out and their brains are in overdrive.
They're like, oh
Well,
yeah, I'll tell you what
right,
I
and
think
that-
right now.
Depends how long town meeting lasts.
Yeah, they're all starving and like, get out of here.
Yes.
But,
And that's a crapshoot from year to year.
Right, right,
Last couple of years, they've been
fast, relatively.
fly through 'em.
okay, so everyone's gonna brainstorm their list of stakeholders. Evelyn and Michael will lead the charge on the interviews, and I can be there as a resource or to help with any outliers.
Well, and there's a whole bunch of other people on this team, we should be asking them, can you be at this place, like,
They're not here tonight, they're voted in to do it.
I'm
Ah,
yeah,
there we
that's
go.
how I would handle it,
That's
but-
the way our Dickens meeting works. If you're not there, you get nominated.
Yeah, and maybe you have people that are more comfortable talking with you.
Sure. Right. You don't show up, you're automatically.
You're automatic. You're it. Okay, I think that's all that I had on my little list here. Yeah. No, you're good. You're good. Yeah, that's all I have except for the meeting minutes from last time. And I caught an error on my own, which was the date at the bottom is 2026.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry about that.
026.
Does anybody have any
Would
edits?
you like a motion, Mr. Chair?
Yes, I would entertain a motion to approve the January 7th meeting minutes.
I will present that motion with the adjustment to the date on the last page.
Second?
Thank you.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the meeting minutes from January. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You guys have it.
I'm abstaining from one here. Abstaining, from one here.
Yeah.
I did watch it, but
Yeah.
I couldn't get down to dinner. I don't know,
I
it
never
doesn't seem
do.
right.
I know. That's just not right.
And Heather, if you have if you need anything or have any questions, you can just reach out. And 'cause I know we kind of put that on you. We're like, oh yeah, you have the
Those are
school
things that we
building.
can do, those are easy things.
Thank you,
Okay.
that's awesome.
In our
Thank
world,
you.
it's easy.
All right, thank you. I think that's it. Does anybody have anything else tonight? Good. All right, can we end our meeting?
Motion to adjourn?
All right. Thank you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
You guys have it.